Lucas Grayson was not like the other young historians on Velora. While most spent their days studying the history of their own people, the Krillians, Lucas had always been drawn to the strange and forgotten stories tucked away in dusty corners of the archives. It wasn't the grand battles or famous leaders that interested him. It was the whispers of things no one else seemed to care about anymore. And today, as he sifted through a pile of crumbling artifacts, he found something that made his heart race. It was an old metal plate, smaller than his hand, covered in symbols that didn't match any language he knew. At first glance, it looked like junk, but when Lucas wiped off the dirt, he saw faint etchings beneath the grime. They were pictures, simple drawings of beings that looked almost like Krillians, but not quite. These figures stood upright, with 2 arms and 2 legs, but their faces were different. Softer, stranger. And then there was the word carved into the bottom of the plate. Human. Lucas froze. He had heard the stories, of course. Everyone on Velora had. The tales spoke of humans as mythical creatures who once roamed the stars, leaving behind only legends and ruins. But those were just bedtime stories for children, weren't they? No serious scholar believed in humans, not anymore. Yet here was proof, sitting right in his hands. He called out to his friend Mia Roberts, who was busy tinkering with a broken piece of equipment nearby. "Mia, you need to see this." His voice shook with excitement. Mia rolled her eyes but walked over anyway. She was used to Lucas dragging her into his wild theories. When she saw the plate, though, her expression changed. "What is that?" she asked, leaning closer. I think it's evidence," Lucas said. "Evidence that humans might actually exist." Mia snorted. "Come on, Lucas. Humans are just myths. Everyone knows that." "But what if they're not?" Lucas pressed. "Look at these symbols. Look at the pictures. This isn't some random doodle. It's too detailed. Too real." Mia studied the plate again, her brow furrowing. As much as she wanted to dismiss it, there was something about the object that felt important. Still, she wasn't ready to jump to conclusions. Even if this thing is real, it doesn't mean humans still exist. Maybe they did once, but that was thousands of years ago. Who cares? "I care," Lucas said firmly. "If humans really existed, maybe they left something behind. Something we can learn from. Don't you want to know more?" Mia sighed. She couldn't argue with that. Curiosity had always been her weakness, and Lucas knew exactly how to push her buttons. "Fine," she said, "but don't get your hopes up. This could be nothing." Over the next few days, Lucas pored over every book and record he could find about humans. Most of the information was vague, filled with contradictions and half-truths. Frustrated but determined, he decided to take his discovery to someone who might understand its significance: the Council of Elders. The council chamber was a grand room with towering ceilings and walls lined with ancient texts. Lucas stood nervously before the gathered elders, holding the metal plate tightly in his hands. One by one, they examined it, their expressions ranging from skepticism to outright disbelief. "This is nonsense," said Dr. Evelyn Shaw, a respected xenobiologist. Her sharp tone cut through the murmurs of the group. "Humans are nothing more than a fairy tale, invented to explain phenomena we couldn't understand centuries ago. There's no proof they ever existed." "But this asterisk is asterisk proof," Lucas insisted. "If we dig deeper, maybe we'll find more. Maybe we'll even locate where they came from." Dr. Shaw shook her head. "You're wasting your time. Focus on real history, Lucas, not childish fantasies." As Lucas left the chamber, dejected but not defeated, Mia met him outside. "Told you they wouldn't listen," she said, but instead of looking smug, she gave him a small smile. "So, what's the plan now?" Lucas grinned. "We keep digging. If they won't help us, we'll figure it out ourselves." And so, their journey began, not knowing where it would lead, but certain that the truth was worth chasing. The next morning, Lucas and Mia sat in the small workshop they shared. The metal plate lay on the table between them, its strange symbols catching the dim light from a flickering lamp. Lucas traced the carvings with his finger, lost in thought. "There has to be more," he muttered. "If humans really existed, they must have left something else behind." Mia leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. "You're obsessed," she said. "Even if this thing is real, what makes you think we'll find anything useful? The council already shut you down." "They don't care about the truth," Lucas shot back. "But I do. And so do you, whether you admit it or not." Mia sighed. She couldn't deny that the artifact had sparked her curiosity. Still, chasing after myths felt like a waste of time. "Okay, fine," she said. "Let's say humans did exist. Where would we even start looking?" Lucas brightened. "We could search old records, maybe even dig up ruins outside the city. There are places no one's explored in centuries. If humans were here, they might have left clues." Mia raised an eyebrow. "And how exactly do you plan to get permission to go digging around ancient sites? You heard Dr. Shaw. No one's going to take this seriously." "We don't need permission," Lucas said firmly. "We'll do it ourselves." For the next few days, Lucas and Mia worked tirelessly. They scored maps of the surrounding areas, marking spots that seemed promising. Mia used her engineering skills to repair an old scanner she'd found in the workshop, hoping it might help detect anything unusual underground. Meanwhile, Lucas spent hours studying the artifact. The workshop was quiet except for the soft hum of Mia's scanner as she worked late into the night. Lucas sat nearby, staring at the star chart that they had risked so much to retrieve. The map glimmered faintly under the dim light, its lines and symbols seeming to pulse with hidden meaning. Earth, the word echoed in his mind. If this map was real, it could lead them to the truth about humans. But how? "We need a way to follow this," Lucas said, breaking the silence. "If Earth is out there, we have to find it." Mia glanced up from her work. "And how do you propose we do that? We can't just hop on a spaceship and fly across the galaxy." Lucas frowned. "Maybe we can. There are old communication arrays scattered around Valora. Some of them still work. If we can modify one, we might be able to send a signal out there." Mia raised an eyebrow. "You're talking about sending a message into deep space. Do you even know what you're doing?" "I don't," Lucas admitted. "But you do. You're the only person I know who can make sense of this stuff." Mia sighed, setting down her tools. She knew Lucas wasn't going to let this go, and honestly, neither was she. As much as she tried to act uninterested, the idea of finding humans intrigued her. "Fine," she said. "But if this blows up in our faces, it's your fault." For the next several days, they poured all their energy into repairing an abandoned communication array on the outskirts of the city. The structure was ancient, covered in rust and vines, but Mia managed to get it running again with some clever rewiring. Lucas programmed the device using coordinates from the star chart, hoping it would broadcast a signal strong enough to reach Earth, or whatever was left of it. When everything was ready, they stood before the towering dish, anticipation heavy in the air. "Here goes nothing," Mia muttered, pressing the activation button. At first, nothing happened. Static crackled through the speakers, filling the silence with white noise. Lucas clenched his fists, wondering if they had failed. Then suddenly, a faint voice broke through the static. It was distorted, almost unintelligible, but one word came through clearly. "Earth." Lucas's eyes widened. "Did you hear that?" "I heard it," Maya replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "But who's talking?" The transmission repeated itself over and over, like a beacon calling out across the stars. They recorded it and played it back multiple times, trying to make sense of the garbled words. Finally, Mia adjusted the frequency, and the message became clearer. "This is Earth Command. Respond if received." Lucas nearly dropped the recorder. "It's them," he breathed. "Humans. They're alive." Mia stared at him, her skepticism melting away. "What do we do now?" "We respond," Lucas said without hesitation. He typed a message into the system, introducing themselves and explaining their discovery. When he hit send, both of them held their breath, waiting for a reply. Minutes passed, then hours. Just as they began to lose hope, the array crackled to life again. This time, the response was clear. Message received. Stand by for further instructions. Lucas and Mia exchanged a look of disbelief. They had done it. They had made contact with humans. But their excitement was short-lived. Outside, the sound of approaching engines grew louder. A group of Krillian soldiers surrounded the facility, led once again by Dr. Evelyn Shaw. "You two have caused enough trouble," Shaw snapped, stepping forward. "Hand over the equipment and any data you've collected." Mia stepped in front of Lucas protectively. "You'll have to take it from us." Shaw smirked. "That can be arranged." Before anyone could move, a bright light filled the sky. A massive ship descended from above, its sleek design unlike anything they had ever seen. The soldiers froze, staring in awe as the vessel hovered overhead. A voice boomed from the ship, speaking in perfect Krillian. "Stand down. These individuals are under our protection." Dr. Shaw looked furious but backed away, signaling her troops to retreat. The ship lowered closer, and a smaller craft detached from it, landing near the communication array. Out stepped two figures dressed in uniforms bearing unfamiliar insignias. One of them, a man with sharp features and confident posture, introduced himself. "Commander Alex Hart. And you are?" Lucas stepped forward, his voice shaking. "I'm Lucas Grayson. This is Mia Roberts. We found your signal." Alex nodded. "You've done something remarkable, but you've also put yourselves in danger. Come with us. We'll explain everything." As they boarded the human ship, Lucas couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and wonder. They had uncovered the truth, but at what cost? Whatever lay ahead, one thing was certain: their lives would never be the same again. The inside of the human ship was unlike anything Lucas and Mia had ever seen. The walls glowed faintly with a soft blue light, and strange symbols scrolled across panels that seemed to respond to touch. Everything looked advanced yet clean, as if designed for both function and comfort. Despite their awe, Lucas couldn't shake the feeling of unease. What would these humans want from them? And why had they shown up now, after centuries of silence? Commander Alex Hart led them to a small meeting room, where another human waited, a woman with short brown hair and sharp, calculating eyes. "This is Lieutenant Samantha Brooks," Alex said, gesturing to her. "She's here to help us figure out what's going on." Samantha nodded at Lucas and Mia, but didn't smile. "You've stirred up quite a mess down there," she said bluntly. "Do you know who those soldiers were?" "Krillians," Maya replied. "They don't like us poking around in old history." Alex frowned. "The Krillians. We've heard of them. They're not exactly friendly, are they?" "You could say that," Lucas muttered. "Dr. Evelyn Shaw, the one leading them, thinks humans are just myths. She doesn't want anyone proving her wrong." Samantha leaned forward, her tone serious. "That's not our biggest problem. If the Krillians find out about us, it could mean trouble. We've spent centuries staying hidden for a reason." Lucas blinked. "Hidden? Why would you do that?" Alex hesitated before answering. "A long time ago, humanity left Earth to escape destruction. Wars tore our planet apart, and we scattered across the stars to survive. But some of our enemies followed us, hunting us down. To protect ourselves, we erased all traces of our existence. For years, we've been rebuilding quietly, hoping no one would find us again." Mia crossed her arms. "So, why show yourselves now? Why save us?" "Because you found us first," Samantha said. "Your signal caught our attention. It's rare for anyone outside our fleet to even know we exist. That means someone else might be looking too, and if they are, we need to act fast." Lucas swallowed hard. He hadn't expected this. All he'd wanted was answers, But now he felt like he'd stumbled into something much bigger than himself. "What happens next?" he asked. "We take you back to our fleet," Alex explained. "It's not safe for you on Valora anymore. Once we're there, we'll decide how to handle the situation with the Krillians." Before Lucas or Mia could respond, the ship shuddered violently. Alarms blared, and red lights flashed along the walls. "We're under attack," Samantha shouted, rushing to a nearby console. "What's happening?" Maya asked, gripping the edge of her seat. "The Krillians must have tracked us," Alex said grimly. "They're faster than I thought." Lucas felt his stomach drop. "Will they destroy us?" "Not if we can help it," Samantha replied, tapping furiously at the controls. "But we need to move. Now." The four of them hurried to the bridge, where the crew worked frantically to fend off the attackers. Outside the viewport, streaks of light zipped past as enemy ships fired relentlessly. Mia stared in shock at the chaos unfolding before her. "How many are there?" she whispered. "Too many," Alex admitted. "We can't fight them all, not without help." Lucas glanced at him. "Help? From who?" "Our fleet," Samantha said. "If we can reach them, they'll send reinforcements. But we have to get closer first." The ship rocked again, throwing everyone off balance. Sparks flew from a damaged panel, and smoke filled the air. "Shields are down to 20%. One of the crew members yelled. "We won't last much longer," Alex said through gritted teeth. He turned to Lucas and Mia. "Stay close to us. If anything happens, we'll make sure you're safe." Despite his words, Lucas didn't feel reassured. The odds seemed impossible. Just as hope began to fade, a voice crackled over the comms. "This is Captain Ryan Cole aboard the Starblade. Need a hand?" Alex smirked. Ryan, always late to the party. Moments later, a smaller battered ship darted into view, weaving between the Krillian vessels with surprising speed. Lasers shot out from its cannons, scattering the attackers. "Follow me," Ryan's voice came again. "I'll lead you to safety." With the distraction giving them a chance, Alex piloted the ship toward the distant glow of the human fleet. Behind them, explosions lit up the darkness as Ryan fought to hold off the Krillians. Lucas watched the scene unfold, his heart pounding. For the first time, he realized just how dangerous this journey had become. As they approached the fleet, dozens of massive ships emerged from the shadows, their weapons trained on the remaining Krillian forces. The battle ended almost as quickly as it had begun. Safe within the fleet's protective embrace, Lucas let out a shaky breath. They had made it, but he knew this was only the beginning. The human fleet stretched endlessly before them, a breathtaking sight that left Lucas and Mia speechless. Hundreds of ships floated in perfect formation, their sleek designs glowing faintly against the vast blackness of space. It was like nothing they had ever imagined, a city among the stars. As their ship docked inside one of the larger vessels, Lucas felt a mix of wonder and unease. These humans were real and powerful, but what did they want with two strangers from Valora? Alex led them through the corridors of the massive ship, explaining as they walked. "This is the Odyssey, our flagship," he said. "It's where we coordinate most of our operations." Mia glanced around, taking in the bustling activity. Crew members moved quickly between stations, speaking in low tones or typing commands into glowing panels. Despite the advanced technology, there was something oddly familiar about it all. The way people worked together, the sense of purpose in their movements. It reminded her of home, even though everything here was so different. They entered a large meeting room where several officers waited. At the center stood a tall man with graying hair and a commanding presence. "This is Admiral Grant," Alex introduced him. "He's in charge of the fleet." Admiral Grant studied Lucas and Mia carefully. "So, you're the ones who found us," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Tell me everything." Lucas hesitated, unsure where to start. He explained how he had discovered the artifact, the star chart, and their attempts to send a signal. When he mentioned Dr. Evelyn Shaw and the Krillians, Grant's expression darkened. "The Krillians are trouble," he said. "If they know about us, it won't end well. We've spent centuries avoiding detection for good reason." Mia spoke up. "But why? Why hide? You're strong enough to protect yourselves, aren't you?" Grant sighed. "Strength isn't always the answer. Our enemies are relentless. If they find us, they'll stop at nothing to destroy us. And anyone who helps us." Lucas frowned. "That's why you erased your history. To disappear." "Exactly," Samantha chimed in. "And now, thanks to you two, we might have a bigger problem on our hands." Before anyone could respond, the doors slid open, and Captain Ryan Cole strode in. His face was smudged with grease, and his jacket looked like it had seen better days, but his confident grin lit up the room. "Sorry I'm late," he said, leaning casually against the wall. "Had to finish playing hero back there." Grant gave him a stern look. "You took a big risk, Ryan. Those Krillian ships nearly overwhelmed you." Ryan shrugged. "Hey, somebody had to save the day. Besides, I couldn't let these kids get blown up before we even met them." Despite the tension, Lucas couldn't help but feel a spark of gratitude toward Ryan. Without him, they wouldn't have made it this far. Still, the weight of the situation pressed heavily on him. "What happens now?" he asked. "We need to figure out how much the Krillians know," Admiral Grant replied. "If they've already tracked us this far, we can't afford to wait around. We'll send scouts to monitor their movements while we decide our next move." "And what about us?" Naya asked. "Are we stuck here forever?" Grant shook his head. "No, but you'll need protection. Returning to Velora isn't an option. Not yet. For now, consider yourselves guests aboard the Odyssey. And maybe allies, if you're willing." Lucas exchanged a glance with Mia. They hadn't expected this turn of events, but deep down, they both knew there was no going back. Whatever happened next, they were part of something much bigger than themselves. As the meeting ended, Ryan approached them with a lopsided smile. "Well, kids, welcome to the club. Don't worry, you'll get used to the chaos." Mia raised an eyebrow. "Chaos seems to follow you everywhere." Ryan laughed. "Guilty as charged, but hey, it keeps life interesting." Later, as they explored the ship, Lucas and Mia tried to process everything they had learned. The humans weren't just survivors. They were fighters, determined to protect what they had built. Yet beneath their strength lay a deep fear of being discovered. Lucas wondered if they had done the right thing by reaching out. Had they put these people in danger, or given them a chance to reclaim their lost legacy? For now, only one thing was certain. Their journey was far from over. Days passed aboard the Odyssey, and Lucas and Mia slowly began to adjust to their new surroundings. The ship was alive with activity, its corridors buzzing with the sounds of footsteps, distant chatter, and the hum of machinery. Though they were treated kindly by the crew, Lucas couldn't shake the feeling that they were outsiders. Every glance seemed to carry unspoken questions. Who were these strangers? What did they really know? And could they be trusted? Mia, on the other hand, adapted quickly. Her sharp mind and engineering skills earned her a spot in the tech lab, where she worked alongside Samantha to analyze the artifact they had brought with them. "This thing is amazing," Samantha said one day, examining the star chart. "It's like a piece of our past we didn't even realize was missing." "Do you think it can help you find Earth?" Maya asked. Samantha hesitated. "Maybe, but Earth isn't what it used to be. Even if we found it, I'm not sure we'd recognize it." Lucas spent most of his time in the observation deck, staring out at the endless expanse of stars. He felt torn between excitement and guilt. They had uncovered the truth about humans, but at what cost? The Krillians were still out there, and Dr. Evelyn Shaw wouldn't give up easily. He wondered how long it would take before she pieced everything together. One evening, Alex joined him in the observation deck. "You look lost," he said, leaning against the railing. "I feel lost," Lucas admitted. I thought finding humans would answer all my questions. Instead, it just raised more. Alex nodded. That's how it always is. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. But what happens now? Lucas asked. Are you going to fight the Krillians? Hide again. We're still deciding, Alex replied. But one thing's for sure. We can't let them follow us back to Earth. If they discover where we came from, it could mean disaster. Lucas frowned. Why does everyone keep saying that? What's so dangerous about Earth? It's not just Earth, Alex explained. It's what Earth represents. For us, it's home. But for our enemies, it's a target. A symbol of everything they want to destroy. Before Lucas could respond, an alarm blared through the ship. Red lights flashed, and voices echoed over the intercom. All hands to battle stations. Repeat, all hands to battle stations. Lucas's heart raced as he followed Alex to the bridge. On the main screen, a swarm of Krillian ships appeared, surrounding the fleet. How did they find us? Maya asked, arriving moments later. They must have tracked us from Valora, Samantha said grimly. We underestimated them. Admiral Grant stood at the center of the bridge, his expression calm but focused. Prepare for engagement, he ordered. Ryan, take your ship and flank their forces. We'll hold them off until reinforcements arrive. Ryan saluted with a grin. Time to show these guys what we're made of. As the battle began, chaos erupted across the fleet. Lasers streaked through space, lighting up the darkness like fireworks. The Odyssey shook violently as enemy fire struck its shields, forcing everyone to brace themselves. Lucas clung to the railing, watching in horror as smaller human ships darted between the Krillian vessels, firing back with precision. This is insane, Mia muttered, gripping the edge of a console. It's war, Alex said simply, and we're not losing this time. Despite the odds, the humans fought fiercely. Ryan's ship, the Starblade, proved to be a game-changer, weaving through the enemy lines and disabling several ships with well-placed shots. Back on the Odyssey, Samantha worked tirelessly to reroute power to the failing shields, her fingers flying over the controls. Shields are holding. At 50%, she announced. But we can't keep this up forever. We won't have to, Admiral Grant said, his eyes locked on the screen. In the distance, more human ships emerged from hyperspace, joining the fight. The tide began to turn as the Krillians found themselves outnumbered. When the battle finally ended, the surviving Krillian ships retreated into the void. Exhausted but victorious, the crew of the Odyssey let out a collective sigh of relief. Lucas looked around at the faces of the humans who had risked everything to protect them, and realized something important. These people weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for hope. And somehow, Lucas and Mia had become part of that hope. The aftermath of the battle left the Odyssey quiet, its hulls heavy with the weight of what had just happened. Repairs were underway, and crew members moved silently, their faces pale with exhaustion. For Lucas and Mia, the victory felt hollow. They had survived, but the cost was clear. The Krillians now knew humans existed, and they wouldn't stop until they found a way to strike back. In the observation deck, Lucas stared out at the stars, his mind racing. Do you think we made things worse? He asked Mia, who sat nearby, her arms crossed tightly. Mia didn't answer right away. She had been asking herself the same question. Finally, she sighed. Maybe. But it's not like we had a choice. If we hadn't sent that signal, someone else might have found them first. Still, Lucas said, his voice low, it feels like we started something we can't finish. Before Maya could respond, Samantha walked in, her face grim. We need to talk, she said. Admiral Grant wants everyone in the meeting room. When they arrived, the atmosphere was tense. Admiral Grant stood at the head of the table, his hands clasped behind his back. Alex and Ryan were already there, along with several other officers. The screen on the wall displayed a map of nearby star systems, with red dots marking Krillian activity. The Krillians are regrouping, Grant began. They lost this battle, but they'll come back stronger next time. We need to act before they do. What's the plan? Alex asked. Grant turned to the screen. We strike first. There's a key Krillian outpost near Velora. If we take it out, we can cripple their ability to track us. Ryan raised an eyebrow. That's risky. If we go after them, we're giving up the element of surprise. It's a risk we have to take, Grant replied. If we don't stop them now, they'll keep coming. And next time, they might bring allies. Lucas cleared his throat nervously. What about Velora? What happens to the people there? Grant glanced at him. We'll do everything we can to avoid civilian casualties. But if the Krillians find out how much you two know, they won't hesitate to use your planet as leverage. Mia frowned. So, we're just supposed to sit here while you attack our home. You're safer here than you would be on Velora, Samantha said gently. Trust me, no one wants to put innocent lives at risk. But sometimes, sacrifices have to be made. Lucas clenched his fists. Sacrifices. It was easy for them to say that when they weren't the ones who'd lose everything. He thought about Dr. Evelyn Shaw, about the council, about all the people who had mocked him for believing in myths. How many of them would suffer because of his actions? Later that night, Maya found Lucas pacing in the corridor outside their quarters. You're still thinking about it, aren't you? She asked. How can I not? Lucas snapped. This is all my fault. If I hadn't dug up that artifact, none of this would have happened. Mia stepped closer, her voice softening. Or maybe it was always going to happen. Maybe the Krillians were looking for humans long before we showed up. At least now, the humans have a chance to fight back. But at what cost? Lucas whispered, what if Velora gets destroyed because of us? Mia didn't have an answer. Instead, she placed a hand on his shoulder. We can't change what's already done. All we can do is try to make things right. The next morning, the fleet prepared for the mission. Ryan volunteered to lead the assault, his usual grin replaced by a steely determination. As the ship set course for the Krillian outpost, Lucas and Mia watched from the observation deck, their hearts heavy with uncertainty. Hours later, the attack began. The human ship struck quickly and decisively, disabling the outpost's defenses before the Krillians could react. Explosions lit up the darkness as the outpost crumbled under the barrage of fire. Though the humans avoided targeting civilian areas, the destruction was unavoidable, a reminder of the price of war. Back on the Odyssey, the crew celebrated the victory, but Lucas and Mia couldn't bring themselves to join in. They had helped uncover the truth about humans, but now they wondered if the price of that truth was too high. The victory against the Krillian outpost brought a brief moment of calm, but it didn't last long. News of the attack spread quickly, reaching Velora before anyone could stop it. The Krillians wasted no time blaming the humans for their losses, twisting the story to paint themselves as victims. Panic swept through the planet as citizens grappled with the revelation that humans were real, and now enemies. On board the Odyssey, Lucas and Mia watched footage of protests erupting across Velora. Crowds gathered in the streets, shouting for answers. Some demanded peace, while others called for retaliation. Dr. Evelyn Shaw appeared on every screen, her face cold and determined. The humans are a threat to our way of life, she declared. They must be stopped at all costs. Lucas clenched his fists as he listened. She's using this to turn everyone against us, he muttered. It's not fair. Mia shook her head. Fair doesn't matter anymore. This is war, whether we like it or not. Admiral Grant called another meeting to discuss the growing unrest. We knew this would happen, he said, pacing the room. The Krillians are masters at manipulating fear. If we don't act soon, they'll rally the entire planet against us. What can we do? Alex asked. We can't exactly march down there and tell them the truth. Maybe we can, Maya said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. She hesitated before continuing. If people see us, if they meet actual humans, They might realize we're not monsters. Maybe then they'll question what Shaw is telling them. Ryan raised an eyebrow. You want to walk into a hornet's nest? That's risky, even for you. It's worth a shot, Samantha added thoughtfully. If we can expose Shaw's lies, we might be able to divide their forces. Grant considered it for a moment, then nodded. All right, we'll send a small team to Valora, but if anything goes wrong, you pull out immediately. Understood. Lucas and Mia exchanged nervous glances. They had started this journey together, and now they were being asked to step back into the chaos they'd tried to escape. Still, neither of them hesitated. We're in, Lucas said firmly. The next day, a shuttle carrying Lucas, Mia, Alex, and Samantha landed just outside the capital city. The streets were eerily quiet, patrolled by armed Krillian soldiers. As they made their way toward the council chamber, whispers followed them. People stopped to stare, pointing at the humans with a mix of fear and curiosity. When they reached the council chamber, Dr. Shaw was waiting. Her eyes narrowed as she took in the sight of them. What are you doing here? She demanded. We're here to tell the truth, Lucas said, stepping forward. His voice trembled, but he forced himself to keep going. Humans aren't your enemy. We didn't start this fight. You did. Shaw sneered. Lies. You attacked our outpost without provocation. You're invaders, nothing more. Before Lucas could respond, a young man in the crowd spoke up. How do we know what to believe? He asked. You've been lying to us for years, Dr. Shaw. Maybe it's time we heard their side. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room. Shaw's face reddened with anger, but she couldn't silence the growing dissent. For the first time, cracks began to form in her control. As the debate raged on, Lucas felt a flicker of hope. Maybe Mia was right. Maybe showing themselves wasn't such a bad idea after all. But just as things seemed to be turning in their favor, alarms blared outside. The sound of explosions echoed through the city. What's happening? Maya asked, panic rising in her voice. Samantha checked her communicator. It's the Krillians. They're attacking the city. Chaos erupted as people scrambled for cover. Soldiers flooded the streets, firing blindly at anything that moved. Amid the confusion, Shaw slipped away, leaving the council chamber in disarray. We need to get out of here, Alex shouted over the noise. But Lucas hesitated. We can't leave yet. Not when we're so close to making them understand. Mia grabbed his arm. Lucas, we can't help anyone if we're dead. Let's go. Reluctantly, Lucas followed as they fought their way back to the shuttle. Behind them, the city burned, a grim reminder of the stakes they were facing. As the shuttle lifted off, Lucas stared out the window, his heart heavy. They had tried to make peace, but war had followed them anyway. And now, the fight was far from over. Back aboard the Odyssey, the mood was grim. The attack on Valora had left scars, not just on the city, but on everyone who had witnessed it. Lucas and Mia sat in silence in the observation deck, their reflections pale against the glass as they stared out at the stars. The mission to bring peace had failed, and now the Krillians were more determined than ever to destroy humanity. Admiral Grant called an emergency meeting to assess the damage. The Krillians are using fear to unite the population against us, he said, his voice heavy with frustration. Every move we make seems to play into their hands. Alex leaned forward, his brow furrowed. We can't keep fighting like this. They're turning innocent people into weapons. If we don't find a way to break their control, we'll lose before the war even begins. Samantha nodded. Dr. Shaw is behind all of this. She's feeding lies to the council and rallying support for Admiral Kane. As long as she's pulling the strings, we're stuck playing defense. Ryan crossed his arms, a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. Then maybe it's time we cut those strings. Everyone turned to look at him. What do you mean? Maya asked. I mean we take her out of the equation, Ryan replied. Without Shaw stirring up trouble, the Krillians might start questioning their leaders. It's risky, sure, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Grant frowned. We're not assassins, Ryan. There has to be another way. Unless there isn't, Lucas said suddenly. All eyes turned to him. He swallowed hard, realizing how quiet the room had become. Shaw betrayed us. She used the artifact to track us, and now she's using Velora as a weapon. If we don't stop her, more people will die. Mia placed a hand on his arm. Lucas, I know you're upset, but this isn't like you. I'm not saying we hurt her, Lucas clarified. But what if we expose her? What if we show everyone the truth? Samantha tilted her head thoughtfully. It's possible. If we can get proof of her betrayal, we could broadcast it across Velora. That might be enough to turn the tide. Alex nodded. It's worth a shot, but getting that proof won't be easy. The team quickly devised a plan. Under the cover of darkness, Ryan would pilot a small stealth ship to infiltrate Velora's communication hub, where Shaw stored her data. Meanwhile, Lucas and Mia would use their knowledge of the city to guide the team through hidden routes, avoiding detection. When they arrived, the streets were eerily quiet, patrolled by Krillian soldiers. The group moved swiftly, sticking to shadows and abandoned alleys. As they approached the communication hub, Mia spotted something, a tracking device planted on the shuttle. She knew we were coming. Mia whispered, her voice tight with panic. Lucas clenched his fists. Then we have to move faster. Inside the hub, Ryan worked quickly to access Shaw's files while Samantha kept watch. After tense minutes of searching, they found what they needed, a recording of Shaw conspiring with Admiral Kane to frame the humans for the attacks. Got it, Ryan said, downloading the file onto a portable drive. Just as they were about to leave, alarms blared. Soldiers flooded the building, surrounding them. Drop your weapons, one of them shouted. Thinking fast, Alex stepped forward. You don't want to do this, he said calmly. Listen to the recording. See for yourself who's really responsible. For a moment, no one moved. Then one soldier lowered his weapon and grabbed the drive from Alex's hand. As he listened to the recording, his expression shifted from suspicion to anger. It's true, he muttered, turning to the others. We've been lied to. The soldiers hesitated, unsure of what to do. Seizing the opportunity, Ryan led the group out of the building and back to the shuttle. By the time they reached the Odyssey, the recording had already spread across Velora, sparking outrage among the population. In the days that followed, protests erupted across the planet, demanding answers from the Council. Admiral Kane tried to maintain order, but his grip on power was slipping. For the first time, the Krillians began to fracture, divided between loyalty to their leaders and the growing desire for truth. As Lucas watched the chaos unfold from the safety of the Odyssey, he felt a mix of relief and guilt. They had exposed Shaw's lies. But at what cost? The fight wasn't over yet, and the road ahead promised to be long and uncertain. Still, for the first time since this journey began, Lucas allowed himself to hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could still find a way to end the war without destroying everything they cared about. Weeks passed, and the rebellion on Velora grew stronger. The truth about Dr. Evelyn Shaw and Admiral Kane's lies had spread like wildfire, igniting anger among the people. Protests turned into organized resistance, with citizens demanding peace and accountability. The Krillian military, once united under Kane's command, began to splinter as soldiers refused to fight for a corrupt cause. On board the Odyssey, Lucas and Mia watched the news reports with cautious hope. It's working, Maya said softly, her eyes fixed on the screen showing crowds chanting for change. They're standing up to them. Lucas nodded, but his expression remained troubled. Yeah, but at what cost? How many more people will get hurt before this ends? Alex placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. You did what you could, Lucas. Sometimes, that's all anyone can do. Samantha added, the Krillians aren't going to give up easily. But if we keep pushing, maybe we can find a way to stop this without more bloodshed. Admiral Grant called one final meeting to discuss their next move. Kane's forces are weakened, but he's still dangerous, he said. If we can negotiate a truce now, while they're divided, we might be able to end this peacefully. Ryan raised an eyebrow. You really think they'll listen? After everything that's happened? They don't have much choice, Grant replied. Their own people are turning against them. If we offer a way out, some of them might take it. The team agreed to send a delegation to meet with the remaining council members on Velora. Lucas and Mia insisted on joining, knowing their presence could help bridge the gap between humans and Krillians. As the shuttle descended toward the planet, they felt a mix of fear and determination. This was their chance to make things right, or risk losing everything. At the council chamber, tensions ran high. The room was packed with both Krillian leaders and representatives from the Resistance. Admiral Kane sat stiffly at the head of the table, his face pale with frustration. When Lucas and Mia entered alongside Alex and Samantha, murmurs rippled through the crowd. This is ridiculous, Kane snapped. We're not negotiating with invaders. We're not here to invade, Alex said calmly. We're here to end this. Your people are suffering because of your lies. It doesn't have to be this way. Before Kane could respond, a young woman from the Resistance stood up. Enough, she said firmly. We've seen the recordings. We know what you've done. If you won't step down, we will remove you ourselves. Kane glared at her, but said nothing. The room fell silent as the weight of her words sank in. Slowly, other council members began to speak up, calling for peace and cooperation. Even some of Kane's loyalists hesitated, unsure of where their loyalties lay anymore. Finally, Kane slammed his fist on the table. Fine, he growled. Do what you want. I'm done. As Kane stormed out of the room, the atmosphere shifted. For the first time in weeks, there was a sense of hope. The council agreed to work with the humans, vowing to rebuild trust and prevent future conflicts. Lucas and Mia exchanged a glance, relief washing over them. In the days that followed, humanity and the Krillians began taking tentative steps toward peace. Trade routes reopened, and joint efforts were made to repair the damage caused by the war. Lucas and Mia returned to Velora as heroes, their discovery having changed the course of history. Back aboard the human fleet, Alex and Samantha prepared for a new mission, to locate Earth and uncover its secrets. Before they left, Alex approached Lucas and Mia. You two started something incredible, he said. Don't forget that. Lucas smiled faintly. We didn't do it alone. As the fleet disappeared into the stars, Lucas and Mia stood side by side, gazing up at the sky. They had set out searching for answers, never imagining how far their journey would take them. Though the scars of war remained, they knew one thing for certain. Myths had become reality, and unity had replaced fear. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they faced them together, with hope guiding their way.